You were nice. You were available. You were always there when she needed something. And yet, she chose someone else, someone colder, less attentive, less nice. You did everything they say you should do. You gave, you listened, you respected her time, her space, her mood, and still, you were overlooked. Because what nobody tells you is this: being nice is not the currency of desire. It's the currency of comfort. And comfort never created obsession. This isn't about becoming a jerk. This is about understanding the game you're playing. Being friendly doesn't make her want you. It makes her feel safe enough to keep you around until someone who excites her shows up. Let's break this entire psychology wide open. Number 1, the invisible nice person. You're friendly, you're polite, you respond quickly, you compliment often, you offer help even before she asks. You think this makes you stand out. But to her, it makes you disappear. Here's why. Nice without edge is forgettable. When you're overly friendly, overly available, overly agreeable, you don't become attractive. You become predictable. And what's predictable is boring. She knows exactly what you'll say. She knows exactly how you'll respond. She knows you'll always be there, no matter how little she invests. There's no mystery, no friction, no emotional weight. You're like background music. Pleasant, but unmemorable. And the worst part? You're doing it from a good place. You think kindness equals connection. You think softness equals trust. You think being the one who always shows up will eventually earn you a seat at the table. But the truth is, people don't crave what's always in front of them. They crave what they have to earn. And when you don't make her earn your presence, you rob her of the desire to chase. She smiles. She says thank you. She calls you so sweet. But she never chooses you. Because she doesn't want a servant. She wants a standard. And a standard doesn't bend just to be liked. A standard doesn't lower itself to avoid discomfort. A standard doesn't give value for free. You think niceness is your asset. But it's the mask you wear to avoid being direct. It's the disguise you use to stay safe. It's the emotional posture of someone afraid to risk rejection. And she feels it, not consciously, but deeply. She feels the need in your kindness, the fear behind your agreeableness, the hope you're placing in her validation. And nothing kills attraction faster than energy that says, "I'll be whoever you want. Just don't leave." That's not love, that's emotional submission. And submission without polarity is death to desire. Number 2, the psychology of over-availability. Let's be brutally honest. Availability is not the flex you think it is. When you make yourself emotionally, physically, and mentally available at all times, you're not being loyal, you're not being committed, you're being common. And what's common is undervalued. This is the scarcity principle in psychology. The rarer something is, the more people assign value to it, even if nothing else changes. That's why a diamond gets locked in a vault, but a pebble sits forgotten on the street. It's not about what you are, it's about how you present yourself. When you're always there, you're never missed. When you respond instantly, you kill anticipation. When you overexpress affection, you remove the thrill of pursuit. Here's the harsh reality. She doesn't feel excitement when she knows you're always one text away. She feels control. And control is the opposite of emotional attraction. What creates attraction? Tension, uncertainty, the unknown. That doesn't mean playing games. It means pulling your energy inward. until it becomes earned, not assumed. See, most people don't understand that attention has an economic value. The more you pour it out without boundaries, the more you devalue your own currency. She learns that she doesn't have to work for your time. She doesn't have to invest to get your validation. She doesn't have to give to receive. And the moment that becomes normal, your attention becomes cheap. Not because you are, but because you didn't protect your worth. She doesn't consciously think this. But her nervous system feels it. It feels the imbalance. It feels the emotional safety without polarity. It feels the comfort, but not the craving. And that's the death sentence for attraction, not disrespect, not conflict, not rejection. Comfort, because comfort means she can predict everything. And when she can predict everything, she stops investing. She stops wondering. She stops wanting. Your job isn't to be available, it's to be valued. And you do that by mastering the art of access. You don't give less love, you give it more selectively. You don't become distant to punish, you become distant to preserve tension. You don't pull back out of insecurity. You pull back out of discipline. The moment you stop chasing, she starts noticing. Because attention, when withheld, becomes power. Number 3, kindness without standards equals weakness. Kindness is powerful, but only when it's backed by boundaries. Because kindness without standards doesn't read as virtue. It reads as weakness. It says, I'll tolerate anything as long as you don't leave. I'll give you respect, even if you give me crumbs. I'll stay available no matter how little you invest. You think you're being understanding. But what you're doing is showing emotional neediness. And people, especially women, don't respect that. They don't admire what's easy to get. They don't obsess over what's always there. They don't chase what doesn't challenge them to rise. Because here's the truth most people don't want to accept. Being too nice is often just emotional cowardice in disguise. It's not that you're genuinely that generous. It's that you're afraid. Afraid of confrontation, afraid of rejection, afraid to state what you actually want. Afraid to say no and lose the connection. So you become agreeable. You become soft. You avoid tension like it's poison. But that tension? That's where real connection lives. Not in passive kindness, but in strong presence, in firm direction, in you being someone who says, I'm kind, yes, but I'm not here to tolerate disrespect disguised as indecision. The people you attract with boundaryless kindness will always test how far you're willing to bend. And if you keep bending, you will break. They won't respect you. They'll use you, not always maliciously. Sometimes just emotionally. They'll drain your energy and then say they never felt the spark. Why? Because they don't want a doormat. They want a mirror. Someone who reflects back their value through selectivity, not desperation. And if you think you can love your way into respect, you've already lost. Because love without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. You stop choosing yourself so you can be chosen by them. And the worst part? They can feel that. They feel when your kindness is really a strategy, when your patience is just a mask for emotional passivity, when your constant presence is just a substitute for having a spine. And no one falls in love with a strategy. They fall in love with power, with presence, with truth, with a standard that doesn't move, even when they push. So ask yourself, are you kind because you value people? Or are you kind because you fear rejection? Because the difference is the difference between respect and rejection. Number 4, what actually makes her chase. Most people think attraction is built through effort. Do more, say more, give more, compliment more. Be the best option. But that's not how it works. Because in the emotional world, effort without edge equals invisibility. She doesn't chase you because you gave her everything. She chases you because you gave her just enough to want more. This is called emotional tension. And tension is everything. It's the gap between what she feels and what she doesn't fully understand. It's not manipulation, it's mystery, it's intrigue, it's the sensation that you're not fully hers, even when you're present. That tension is what sparks effort. That effort is what builds value. And that value is what creates attachment. So what actually makes her chase? Not niceness, not compliments, not presence on demand, but polarity. Polarity between your calm and her chaos. Between your grounded energy and her emotional wind. Between your purpose and her need for validation. When you have direction, you become magnetic. When you have standards, you become rare. When you have emotional restraint, you become unforgettable. Because she knows she can't push you off your center. She knows your world doesn't revolve around her attention. She knows you have the power to walk away. And mean it. And that makes her lean in. She starts noticing your pauses. She starts wondering what you're thinking. She starts overanalyzing your silences. Not because you're cold, but because you're sovereign. You don't need her to like you. You need her to respect you. That shift in energy is what flips the game. It's what makes her text first. It's what makes her show up on time. It's what makes her feel nervous in a good way, not because you're playing games, but because your presence carries weight. You're not eager. You're composed. You're not soft. You're sharp, without speaking. And the more she feels that energy, the more she wants to be the one to win it. That's the key. You don't try to win her. You become the win. Because the truth is, people don't chase kindness. They chase standards wrapped in calm certainty. She's not obsessed with how much you give. She's obsessed with how much of you she can't quite touch. Until she steps up. Number 5. Stop giving what hasn't been earned. Every time you pour out energy, without first qualifying the person in front of you, you reduce your value. Not because you're unworthy, but because you've made yourself too easy to access. People don't appreciate what comes without effort. They don't value what they didn't have to work for. They don't feel the depth of something that was just given. They only invest when they have to pay something emotionally in return. And what do most people give away instantly? Time, attention, validation, vulnerability, loyalty, before they've received even a fraction of it back. Why? Because deep down, they hope generosity will inspire commitment. That being a good person will trigger loyalty. That showing up first will make others show up too. But emotional life doesn't work that way. It works on reciprocity. It works on effort matching effort. It works on earning access, not granting it by default. When you give too soon, too fast, too much, you create imbalance. She doesn't feel inspired to give. She feels overwhelmed. She feels the pressure. She feels the weight of a connection she didn't choose. And what do people do when something feels unearned but heavy? They run, they pull back, they slow down, they look for space and freedom. Because the energy feels forced, not organic. This is why high-value people never overshare early. They don't emotionally dump. They don't offer their full presence on day one. They don't give gifts before someone has even proven interest. They withhold, not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. They know their attention is expensive. They know their vulnerability is sacred. They know their emotional presence is a reward, not a request. This is how you instantly shift the dynamic. Don't try to win people over. Make people earn access to the best parts of you. That doesn't mean being fake. It means being selective. It means not explaining yourself to someone who hasn't earned your story. It means not validating someone who hasn't shown investment. It means not chasing when someone isn't matching your energy. You're not punishing them, you're protecting your peace. And in doing so, you become magnetic, because when someone has to earn your access, they value every moment you give it. They lean in harder. They appreciate the silence more. They read into every word, every glance, every action. Because now, you are rare. And in a world that's drowning in oversharers, you become unforgettable by being the one who gives with intention, not out of insecurity. Number 6, the Stoic shift. Calm, firm, detached. You've tried nice, you've tried helpful, you've tried available, and where did it get you? Exhausted, ignored, resented for doing too much. Now it's time to evolve into the version of you that doesn't beg to be liked, that doesn't need to be chosen to feel whole, that doesn't confuse attention for love. This is the Stoic shift, where you move through life with calm certainty, firm boundaries, and emotional detachment. Not cold, not harsh, just clear. Stoics don't react. They observe. They don't seek approval. They seek alignment. They don't chase chaos. They embody peace and watch what chases them. That's your next level. Because the one thing women, and people in general, find most magnetic isn't a loud voice. It's a calm presence that doesn't flinch. When she tests you emotionally, you don't argue. You don't lecture. You don't chase. You hold your frame. And you let her come back to clarity on her own. That's what Stoicism teaches. Hold your standard, even if it costs you the connection. Because the second you sacrifice your truth to keep someone around, you've already lost them and yourself. Stoic presence says, I like you, but I won't bend to keep you. I care, but I won't carry what's not mine. I'm kind, but I don't owe you my time, energy, or body just because you smiled. That's the difference between the nice person and the Stoic. The nice one gives in to stay close. The Stoic one stands tall and lets the weak fall away. Your detachment is not a weapon. It's armor. It doesn't push people away. It reveals who was never strong enough to stand with you. And that is power. Power that doesn't scream. Power that doesn't chase. Power that doesn't explain itself to everyone who walks by. From this moment on, you are not here to convince. You are here to command. Without saying a word. Not with manipulation, not with game playing, but with mastery. Over your mind, your emotions, and your presence. And the moment you embody that, the world will feel it. Number 7, let her feel your absence. There's something more powerful than any speech, more magnetic than any compliment, more unforgettable than any grand gesture. Your absence, not your emotional distance masked by passive aggression, not your half-hearted retreat, not your ego-driven silence, your actual absence, the kind that leaves space, the kind that removes comfort, the kind that makes her feel the echo of your presence long after it's gone. You don't announce it, you don't post about it, you don't warn her that you're pulling back. You just stop being where you were overextending. You stop calling where you were always initiating. You stop responding where you were only tolerated. And in that vacuum, clarity arrives. For her and for you. Because here's what happens. She notices the missing rhythm, the missing comfort, the missing attention. She may act like it doesn't bother her, but her nervous system knows the difference, because you were the anchor. You were the consistency. You were the quiet presence behind her chaos. And when that presence disappears, something shifts. Suddenly she has to earn it again. Suddenly your value becomes obvious, because now it's gone. This is what people never understand. Your power isn't in how loud you show up. It's in how deeply they feel you when you're gone. Most people overstay their welcome. They give too many second chances. They keep showing up to prove they're not like the rest. But the ones who change everything? They exit with dignity, not to manipulate, not to control, but because they finally realized this truth. If my presence isn't respected, my absence will teach the lesson. You don't disappear out of spite, you disappear out of standard. And in that absence, they either level up or fade out. Both answers give you peace, because you didn't yell, you didn't plead, you didn't beg. You just left, not with a storm, but with silence. And that silence? That's the sound of your self-worth taking its throne. You were taught to be kind, to be patient, to be available, to be the good one, but they never told you what that really creates. It creates people who give too much, who ask too little, who settle for being needed instead of being desired. Kindness isn't the problem. The problem is kindness without boundaries, niceness without clarity, availability without value. And when you give it all up front, you don't become attractive. You become forgotten. But today, that ends. Today, you move different. You speak less, you give slower. You wait to see if someone steps forward before you reach out. You no longer try to be the nice one. You become the one with standard. Because the person who walks in power doesn't chase love, they command respect. That's the new you. You've already poured enough. Now it's time to hold your frame, guard your energy, and let your absence do the speaking, where your presence was wasted. The ones who deserve you won't need to be convinced. They'll rise to your level, or disappear under your silence. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to stop giving it to those who haven't earned it. Drop a comment below. I'm done being nice. I'm stepping into power. Subscribe to the channel if you're ready to stop chasing validation. And start building a reality based on respect, presence, and clarity. Share this video with someone who keeps wondering why they're being overlooked, despite doing everything right. You're not here to be remembered for how friendly you were. You're here to be felt for how powerfully you walked away when your value wasn't seen. That's Stoic psychology. That's red pill awareness. That's the new standard. Let's keep building it together.